Imagine working on your own farm, the land you bought with your hard-earned money, only to have a neighbor call 911 on you. That's exactly what happened when a black farmer became the target of an HOA Karen. But when the police arrived, she wasn't ready for the truth, because the man she tried to humiliate pulled out a badge that changed everything. This is the story of Daniel Carter, a man who lived for two things: his family and his farm. For Daniel, the farm wasn't just a piece of land. It was his sanctuary, his pride, his dream turned reality after years of grueling work. He had faced obstacles before: banks that didn't want to lend, neighbors who didn't understand why a black man would want so much land, whispers that followed. Him at community meetings. But Daniel had overcome them all, and in the quiet hum of his tractor, in the laughter of his children running through the fields, he found peace. But peace never sat well with the HOA across the street. Daniel's farm sat next to a sprawling, suburban development run by a strict HOA. They had rules about lawns, mailbox colors, and even the kind of curtains people could hang. To them, Daniel's farm, and with its tractors, fences, and earthy smell of livestock, was a thorn in their perfectly manicured world. At the center of the complaints was one woman, Karen, blonde hair, sharp voice, and a glare that could cut glass. She prided herself on keeping the neighborhood safe, which often meant harassing anyone who didn't fit her picture of perfection. Karen hated Daniel's farm. She hated the early morning rooster calls, the sight of cows grazing, the farm equipment parked near the road. But more than anything, she hated Daniel himself. She never admitted it out loud, but every word, every complaint dripped with prejudice. It was a Saturday afternoon when things came to a boiling point. Daniel was repairing a section of fencing near the road. Sweat rolled down his face, his hands rough and calloused, his children nearby laughing as they carried tools for him. From across the street, Karen watched. Her lips curled into a scowl. She saw a man working his own land, but in her mind, she saw something else, something she could twist. Picking up her phone, she dialed 3 numbers, 911. "Yes, hello," she began, her voice laced with fake panic. "There's a suspicious man here. He's trespassing. I don't feel safe. Please send someone quickly." Daniel looked up only when he heard the distant wail of sirens. His children froze, confused. He wiped his brow, sighed, and whispered, "Not again." 2 squad cars rolled into the neighborhood, lights flashing. Officers stepped out, their hands resting near their belts. Karen practically ran to them, pointing at Daniel like she had caught a criminal. "That's him," she shouted. "He's not supposed to be here. He's dangerous." Daniel stood by his fence, calm, collected. Years of discipline had taught him not to react with anger, even when it burned inside him. He told his children to step back and stay near the porch. The officers approached. Neighbors peeked out of their windows. The air was heavy with tension. One of the officers asked, "Sir, can we see some ID? This woman claims you're trespassing." Daniel didn't argue. He didn't shout. He didn't even raise his voice. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his wallet, and opened it slowly. Inside wasn't just a driver's license, it was a badge, a polished, unmistakable federal badge. Daniel wasn't just a farmer. He was also a federal law enforcement officer. The officers froze, their posture shifted immediately. They saluted him, their respect evident. One officer even said quietly, "Sorry, Agent Carter, we didn't." "No." Karen's jaw literally dropped. The smirk on her face melted into disbelief. She stammered, "Well, what? That can't be real. He's lying." But the badge was real, and so was the authority behind it. The officers turned to Karen. Their patience was gone. They asked her sternly why she had made a false report. Karen's excuses tumbled out. First fear, then confusion, then desperation. But nothing could erase the truth. She had tried to weaponize the police against an innocent man, and it had backfired spectacularly. The neighbors who had gathered whispered among themselves. Some shook their heads, some laughed quietly. And for the first time, Karen's power, her endless complaints, her constant harassment, crumbled before her eyes. Daniel didn't gloat. He didn't yell. He simply put his badge away, nodded to the officers, and returned to his fence. His children watched in awe, realizing their father was stronger than they had ever known, not just because of his badge, but because of his composure. Karen, on the other hand, retreated to her house, her face red with humiliation. That day the neighborhood saw her for who she truly was. And Daniel, he proved once again that dignity is the sharpest weapon of all. This story isn't just about one farm or one HOA, it's about perception, prejudice, and power. Karen thought she could diminish Daniel with a phone call. Instead, she revealed her own smallness. Daniel showed that true strength doesn't come from shouting the loudest. It comes from standing tall, knowing who you are, and never letting hate define your worth. So, the next time someone underestimates you, remember Daniel's story. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't anger. Sometimes, it's simply showing your badge.